All right, so got it lit. I've got the bottom damper all the way open so that I can get good airflow. Got a couple of haystacks in there lit up and got the first cook. So I put the ash pan at the bottom, which is really easy to get in and out, and it fits snug. And then as you can see, I've got the charcoal grate there, and it did its job. It sifted out a lot of the dust. So we got that. And so now we'll just wait for this puppy to get up to temp. Got the top damper all the way open. So once we start to get some true combustion and we see the color of the smoke change from this white color, hope it shows up on camera to more of a blue color, we'll know what we got. So early observation, I'm up to 200 degrees. I want to get this to at least about 350 because we're talking about a steak, especially a skirt steak. So it's not going to take that long, but I'm not trying to smoke it. You can see the temperature is rising quickly. Of course, the dome is pretty warm. Sorry, the dome's pretty warm right now. And it got all of the warnings there where it's hot. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this damper and then open all the way there. That way now I can adjust my temperature control here. And although I have smoke here, this was a concern because again, this got that tongue and groove lip, but there's no leakage. There's no external smoke coming from anywhere that I can see. Looks like the smoke is finally there where it's combusting. So unlike a Kamado, most times with a Kamado, you have to do your first burn. And what that does is it takes a lot of the, I want to say chemicals, but for lack of a better term, a lot of the waste chemicals, you will, and burns off in that first cook. So you do it at a high cook. Again, this is cast aluminum, so I don't think I have that same issue. I looked for a burn-in procedure on their website, and I wasn't able to find one. So, and according to the literature and everything else they provided, there isn't a burn-in procedure because again, there is no, and it also helps in case in case you ordered your Kamado and it was sitting in a warehouse and the warehouse was damp, because again, it's in cardboard. Cardboard is porous. It could have absorbed some moisture in there. So, what it will do is it actually helps to dry out the Kamado so that you don't have a lot of that air moisture from all of the other air elements that it's passed through. So a good burn-in procedure, and it helps to clean it. So anything that's going on with it, it'll clean. Whereas this, because it's non-porous, I don't have any fear that it's actually absorbed any air or any moisture, number one. Also, I don't have any fear that it has, so it doesn't take on any strange flavor. But also, again, this is the end of my mold problem. So we'll see how that works. So anyway, I'll let you know what I got. I'll grab these two grates. I got my grate puller on there so that I can drop the grates on straight. It was one of the problems with the charcoal grate is that I couldn't get it on straight because there was no place for me to really grip it with the gloves on, and I had on gloves because they've been sitting in the hot sun for 3 days. So we'll see what we got. So as you can see, it's coming up to temp. I'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll see what that meat talking about. So I discovered a problem with my cook is that my temperature was all the way at 200 as you saw earlier, and then it dropped all the way down to 150. Well, that tells me one of two things. A, it's not getting enough oxygen, which on a day like today isn't true or can't be true because it's windy, so that's not the case. Or there's a problem with your charcoal. So what I noticed and what I forgot, I knew I was aware of, but I thought it had been sitting out here long enough, is that the charcoal had been sitting outside, and so it's probably not wet, but damp. So it has some moisture in it, and so it won't allow it to combust. So easy fix for that is put on some dry charcoal. And as you can see, even as we're talking, the temperature is already starting to climb back up where it was. So what would have to happen is that charcoal would have to dry. So it means I'm probably going to have to use a little bit more charcoal than I planned. But, it's not a big deal. But anyway, yeah, which means that it'll probably stay hot longer. I have other meat I guess I can put on, but that's one of the things I wanted to share. See, as you can see, it's steady climbing now. So that dry charcoal will create that heat basin inside there, and it will allow for the other charcoal to essentially dry out as it's starting to cook and combust. So that's going to be very helpful for our cook today. Again, if I was slow cooking, this wouldn't be as big. This would be a benefit, because what it will do is it would allow us to cook a lot longer. One side effect probably would be that it will release, as it combusts, a little bit more dirty smoke as it come in. So yeah, you can see just in the short 1 minute and 44 seconds since I put the dry wood on and lit it, that it's actually climbing rapidly. So what we'll do here is I'm gonna just about start to close this damper, so I don't need it wide open right now, because it's getting close to our desired temperature, if you will. So I'm just gonna leave it open for now. It'll still draw air in, and then I'll yeah, look at that, it's rising, so it's about where we want it. So what I'll do is I'm gonna let it slightly overshoot, and then I'm gonna close this bottom damper a little bit, starve off a little bit of oxygen. So I got it about right here, right? And then same thing here. Now, one thing I do wish is that this was kind of like a bake light or something, so it wouldn't be as hot, but I'm just gonna close it a bit, and we'll get that temperature to sit right there at about 300. Actually, I want to open it just a little bit more so I can get it around 350. And then that'll be a good cooking temperature. And then we'll see what we got. And I got enough charcoal in it, I probably can get it seared off as well. So we'll work from there. All right, guys, so I want to show you something. So got the fire kind of stabilized, so I went ahead and added my wood chips. I usually don't use chips, but I'm out of blocks. So pecan is typically what I use, or cherry, depending on what I'm cooking. But pecan is a great all-encompassing kind of wood. You can use it with most anything, because it has a nice flavor profile to the smoke. So what happened is, of course, when I opened it, I let a lot of heat out, so it drops. And then I added a bunch of chips, which this is new fuel. Whenever you add new fuel, it'll actually drop the temperature down during that time period until those chips actually combust. And then, as you can see, it may be hard to tell because of the umbrella, but you got a lot of white smoke coming up. So this white smoke is called dirty smoke. It's typically more acidic than your clear smoke. So I just wanted to document that so I can show you that once everything comes back up to temperature and the fire stabilizes, that you'll start to see a different type of smoke. So this is the smoke that gets in your eyes, that gets in your throat, and you don't want that in your food. So that's what it is. There's been some controversy lately because like Bar A has been teaching this really low smoldering cook at 150, 170 degree on the meat, but it takes days to get that temperature, get meat to come up to temperature at that. So anyway, what we're doing here is we're actually trying to expel all of the dirty smoke out of here. And then we'll have a nice clean smoke. And this area here, you won't see a lot of smoke puffing out of here once it's clean. You'll see an area that looks more like vapor, for lack of a better term. And it'll be clear, but hot. You put your hand over it, it's hot. And then you'll see a bluish color smoke come off of it. You don't want black smoke. You don't want white smoke. You want more of a blue smoke that has, that's clear, translucent smoke. So this dense smoke that's still coming out of here is not what we want. So I'm going to wait until the fire matures. And then from there, we'll throw the top grate on and throw some meat on. First cook. All right, so we got our first cook going on here, and I'm kind of crying because I don't know if you can tell, but we got a little soot going on in there. So it's the last time that this will be all silver, because the soot's going to get trapped in the dome. I've seen a lot of folks who have them and their dome is all blacked out. Anyway, it's just my own idiosyncrasy. So one indicator I wanted to tell you that how you can tell if your fire is stable. Number one, like I said before, you can see little whiffs of smoke, but it's blue and translucent, so this is good smoke. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind is looking at this thermometer. So I raised the dome, like I said earlier, which let out a lot of heat, because effectively this is a convection oven, right? There's we have air that's stable in here. As soon as I let this damper open, the air raises out. So to fill that vacuum, it goes in through the bottom damper. So you have that circulation of air that goes into the dome. Now you can further enhance this by putting stones into place so that you don't have like direct heat. So that's how you get your indirect cooking. There are different methods of doing that. But I say all that to say this, that it's been holding steady at this temperature for a while, right? So when I opened up the dome, it dropped down to about 250, and then it went right back up to its temperature. That tells you that your fire is stable. So this is when you're cooking, because now this allows me to raise the dome, do what I need to do inside, and then when I put the lid back, I'm assured that it's at least going to go back up to temperature, and then I can fine tune it with my dampers. And then there's that. So based on the way I built this fire, and probably because of that wet wood, I kept choking off the bottom damper and it would just drop like a rock. So that tells me that the fire, the way that it's set up, the fire will tell you how it needs to be dampered and controlled. If I wanted it at a lower temperature, then that's what I would do. So to sear this, I might actually take it up to a higher temperature, or I can remove that top grate and put it on that second level grate, and it can sear because it's the proximity to the fire is closer. But again, just wanted to cover two good indicators. Number one, my smoke now isn't bellowing out in that white smoke. You can kind of see a little bit of a heat vapor off of it, but you see like that blue translucent smoke. If I move this umbrella, which I'm not going to because it's hot out here, you'd be able to see a little bit better, but the smoke is a different color. It's a different consistency, and the density of the smoke is different. That's number one. Number two, that thermometer. So check in this thermometer. And again, something else to keep in the thermometer is that this is not the temperature at the grate. This is the temperature of the dome. This is the temperature of the air that's inside of this dome. So as it passes the thermometer, it's taking that reading and it's getting there. So the temperature at the actual grates is going to be higher, probably closer to sometimes even 100 degrees higher, depending on the proximity to the coals. So that's something else to keep in mind, that you have to learn all of these different levels of the fact that, yes, it says 300 degrees here, but if it's directly on the grates, it's actually reading a higher temperature. The meat is because of its proximity to the fire. And then the closer to the fire, the hotter the fire is going to be. Fat dripping on is going to cause it to do this. And one other thing I do want to mention is, again, this tongue and groove seal that Blaze has put on, there's nothing leaking out. I've walked all the way around this grill to check. The only place that smoke or air is coming in is through these dampers, coming out through the exhaust damper. And then it's actually, there's no smoke leaking from anywhere else. That is efficient. So that also tells you that this fire will probably run for a very long time, because it's not getting any additional oxygen, which can play with your temperatures at the grate level. And it means that there's a good seal, so any moisture that's in the meat will stay inside this dome as opposed to leaking out through the sides. So sharing some game there. I'll check in. Well, while I got it, let's check in and see. Oh my goodness, you hear that? So got some skirt steak. Grab my tongs. And let's flip these puppies over. So what you did not or may not have seen is that I had already greased my grates. Put on some oil, and you can just see that juice just dripping off of the steak. Oh my goodness. So that tells you that the moisture is actually holding. I had to use the gripper side at the bottom. I got a little bit of shrinkage here. Got some good lines there. So it's cooking at a good temperature. I'm gonna get my thermometer out and check to see what the actual temperature is here in a minute. But after I've let it sit there for a minute, yeah, this is good. This is good. I am pleased. Now, as you can see, what I did is I took the top grate off because it's just about the temperature we want. I put it on the bottom grate so we can get a good crust on there. So gonna let those sit on there for about a minute, and then I'm gonna flip them over. Just a nice little reverse sear, and I'll let you know how that turns out. All right, so it's been a few minutes. Let me flip to these bad boy already. I already flipped these bad boys once. So see, I got some nice char marks on there, right? So now just gonna put them in there to rest, because these are pretty much done, brother. You see how juicy they still are? So let's get our lid put on there so we don't have any of our flying freeloaders get in there, but get one nice little photo there. See? Yeah, this was a good purchase. I don't have anything bad to say about it at this time. This is first cook. Everything went well. We'll put the grate back on, and I'm gonna lower the temperature a bit and see if I can smoke out some fish while I've got it.